North to Alaska, I go north, the rush is all the way up north.
Hey, this is Hot Chocolate with Paul, and we are going twice to Alaska. In 2022, the plan was to do a land-based tour of Alaska for a week, and then we were supposed to take a cruise ship from Seward, Alaska, through the Inside Passage to Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada. That would have been aboard the Norwegian Jewel. But I ended up testing positive for COVID, so I was not allowed to get on the ship. We spent a total of 6 extra nights in Alaska before we flew home, and then went back in 2023 to continue our adventure. We started off our trip on Sunday, August 7, 2022, by first flying to Atlanta. They were mostly uneventful flights as we watched movies and relaxed. As we got further into the northwest towards Alaska, we started seeing lots of scenic landscapes out the airplane window. We checked into our hotel, and Monday morning, August 8th, we visited the Anchorage Museum. There were some interesting exhibits in the museum. Here we are in the planetarium, about to see a star show. Hi.
Hi.
We are transmitting our brain signals to Mars. Sunsets on Mars are with 2 suns. Videos are still.
We took a trolley tour around Anchorage. One of the sites that I especially enjoyed seeing was Lake Hood Seaplane Base due to my interest in aviation.
The taxiway, they taxi you this way, take off and land this way. Although I have seen on windy days they change the takeoff pattern, use the wind to their advantage. But believe it or not, there's a beautiful mountain range right here as far to the left and right as you can see. It's called the Chugach Mountains. Chugach is an Athabascan word, means rainmaker. 128 inches on average of rain up there every year.
Tuesday, August 9th, we had reservations to take the Alaska Railroad to Denali National Park. It was on this trip that I truly fell in love with taking the Alaska Railroad. We had seats down in the train car, but were able to walk up to an observation car.
To deal the moose, and he said, I'm going to name this area Moose Pass in hopes to attract some hunters. Unfortunately, it didn't work, as there's still more moose than people here at Moose.
Now, Hurricane Gulch is 914 feet long, with just under a 300-foot gap drop to the bottom. It was completed in 1921, which means last year HUD celebrated its 100th birthday, and this year, this month of August, will be celebrating 101 years. Now, it's completed by 2 teams working from either side of the gulch in order to complete the bridge. And it's the Alaska Railroad's longest bridge and was the most expensive and most difficult bridge to complete.
I think the views of Alaska from the train are absolutely stunning, and I was so happy I did it by train and not by car, because with the train there's nothing but wilderness around you, whereas by car you'll have the highway plus all the buildings and exits and towns and everything else that goes with it. We arrived in Denali and then took a shuttle over to Denali Bluffs Hotel. That's our hotel room in building number 17. I have to say that this was the day that I started feeling some postnasal drip. To be honest, I didn't really think all that much of it at first, but it turned out to be a foreboding of what was to come for me. Dinner at the hotel was good. Good morning from Denali. Hello, bird. The next morning, we decided to go hiking on a trail. The skies were clear, so we had great views all the way around. I took this screenshot of our walk on the Denali Park trail hike. Later in the afternoon, we took a tour bus ride through Denali National Park, and we were treated to an absolutely stunning view of Mount Denali. We were told that the majority of people do not get this view, as it's usually covered by clouds. Everybody on the bus was on the lookout for wildlife. We were told to call out any wildlife that we saw, and they would stop the bus so we could get a good look. Thursday, August 11th, we got back on the train to continue our journey north to Fairbanks. Again, more stunning views of Alaska from the train. Thursday on the train to Fairbanks, I noticed that I still had some postnasal drip, and by this point I really thought I just had a minor cold. We arrived in Fairbanks late in the evening. It was still light out because we were up north. This was taking around 11:30 in the evening. Friday morning we got up and drove over to Black Spruce dog sledding. There was no snow, so what they do over the summer is they use an ATV for the dogs to pull for their training. They put the ATV in neutral. The couple that operates Black Spruce dog sledding trains for the Iditarod year-round.
Albert Einstein. Then we have Clara Bow down here. We've got Al Capone and Coco Chanel. And then we have Salvador Dali over here.
How do you remember all those names?
So we got famous people, right?
Right.
That's kind of the starting point.
They're not, like, some are musicians, some are scientists. Are they all?
One's a musician, one's
They're
a
all from the
scientist.
same era?
Yes.
In general. So they get a lot of activity. They travel with us. We go to these different dog races. So they get a lot of exposure. They typically kind of just like take the world in by walking. They're not super vocal until it's like time to do something. The howl is their way of like communicating with each other.
So give them a couple minutes to just get their wiggles out. Some are more ready than others. Dylan's usually like right here, like, okay, I'm ready.
holding him now with my legs. So this allows us to lock him in place and use our 2 hands to work with this harness. This will ultimately fit over him like so. I've got 2 openings that I fold together. I want to keep this webbing towards my stomach, this padded band pointed away from me. We slip this right over our dog's nose and head. And then it comes over the collar. The collar comes in front of the harness. And then a leg goes to either side of this breastplate. So to lift his right leg, I take my right hand, I just push that leg forward to his chest. With my left hand, I pull the harness over. Same thing now on this side. Left hand, left leg, I push his leg forward to his chest, and I do all the work with the harness to get this over his leg. So I'm really careful to not pull his leg out to the side or pull it back. It only comes up to his chest. Everybody's happy to finally be running. They're focused on the trail. Hit it. We keep our team at the pace of the slowest dog, but also our lead dogs, making sure that they're keeping a tight line, they're comfortable in their gait. Early on in our run, everyone's just excited to be out. So they're throwing themselves into their harness. They don't really match each other in terms of run style, but the longer they're out, the more they should really start to assimilate and become one cohesive team. And what we're looking for in our dogs is a nice fast walk, a trot. And a great example of that, once these guys settle down, are Natalie and Toby and Owl. He's back 2, and then the girl on the left with the curly tail in front of him. Owl's already trotting. She's just in a little walk. It's very efficient. Speed it. Go. All right. Hey, Fitzer. So now I'm actually using the engine as a little bit of a brake on this steeper side.
As we were driving back to the hotel from Black Spruce dog sledding, that's when I really started to feel some body aches. That's when I suspected that my post-nasal drip was something more than just a cold. Reluctantly, I decided to stop at a grocery store and pick up a COVID test just to check it out. Once I got back to the hotel, I took the COVID test, and sure enough, I tested positive. And then Stacy and I had a long discussion over what we should do about the remainder of our trip. So this was Friday afternoon, and we knew that I had to test negative by Monday morning to be able to get on the cruise ship. I called my medical provider to get some advice on what to do about my positive COVID test, the fact that I was out of town, and should I seek any medical help. They gave me some advice on how I could feel better and what I should do once I was back out in public again. I took their advice regarding isolating, masking, and what I needed to do to feel better for the rest of the trip. One thing for sure, I was feeling a lot better. In fact, I felt pretty much normal by Sunday. Monday morning, I took a long walk over to a grocery store pharmacy where they could give me a COVID test, and sadly enough, I still tested positive. We walked around Seward to do some more sightseeing. We walked over to the cruise port again and tortured ourselves by watching our cruise ship sail away without us. We spent the next 4 days sightseeing. We took a sightseeing boat ride out of Seward. Since we were supposed to take a one-way cruise from Seward, Alaska to Vancouver, British Columbia, and then fly back home from Vancouver, we needed to change our plans. Instead of flying home from Vancouver, we would now have to fly back home from Anchorage. Trip insurance covered a lot of this. We decided to splurge on staying at the Marriott in Anchorage. We visited the Alaska Zoo. Oh, you're posing nicely for me.
It's their dinner, lunchtime. Do you want to head this way and then come in? Is that what we're doing? But if you head this way and then come on.
They're from Nepal.
We saw an IMAX movie about Northern Lights, and people ask if we were able to see Northern Lights when we visited Alaska. The answer is no. In the summer, it stays light out for too long to really get any effect from Northern Lights. We took a one-day trip to Whittier, Alaska, so we could do a glacier boat ride. There's an interesting tunnel leading into Whittier. It's a one-lane tunnel that serves both the Alaska Railroad and cars, trucks, and buses. There's basically only 2 buildings in the entire city of Whittier, which has a population of just under 300. Everything in this town is served by these two buildings. That's where people live, shop, eat, go to school, and work. It was a rainy day, but we did get to see some glaciers.
Next to an ice field. And this ice field.
We rented a car for our last full day in Anchorage and did some sightseeing. We visited the Alaska Aviation Museum. One of the places we stopped at was Earthquake Park, where the 1964 Good Friday earthquake caused major damage, and much of this hillside turned into a landslide. A whole neighborhood was destroyed as a result. We visited the Alaska Native Heritage Center. Our adventures in Alaska did not end there. We filed a trip insurance claim and then went back in 2023. This time I found a 10-night cruise on the Norwegian Sun that left Seattle, sailed through the Inside Passage, and then back to Seattle again. We are out on 3rd Avenue, heading up to the Space Needle.
10 miles an hour for about 41 seconds up to the observation deck.
Here we are on the deck of the Space Needle. There's Mount Rainier off in the distance. Down here they have a revolving glass floor. You come out here, and it is literally moving. We are now at the Mopop Museum of Pop Culture. Just a few guitars on there.
Three, two, one, scream!
Ah!
Well.
Okay, here's the theme song for Hot Chocolate with Paul. That's how we open it. And here you can play the air guitar. Now we are coming up to Pike Place Public Market. And here is the original Starbucks. Look at that line waiting to get in there. Get on a cruise ship, waiting for the Norwegian sun. How you doing?
I'm doing good.
Excited?
Yeah.
Our wedding song.
Oh, girl, stay by me. Love forever yours. Feed me.
And here we go, getting into our room. Ooh, yeah. Got the TV on. Bed. Guest.
One of the best parts of cruising is getting off the ship and seeing the sights.
The balcony's a little bigger than some of the other ships I've been on. That's nice. Alright, that's a quick tour of our room. Now I guess we can commence with messing it up. This is the view of Seattle from the dock.
sunbeds. Pull yourselves away from the bar. Join us here as we make our conga behind Dave. One behind the other. Join in. Come on. You.
We're having dinner now. We both have tilapia. This is Stacy's dessert tonight. And this is my dessert tonight. Back in our cabin, this is one of the perks of being a platinum member. You get these chocolate-covered strawberries. Yum, yum. We're in the Stardust Theater now to watch the Sail Away show or Hello show, whatever it's called, with Simon the Comedian. You ready for this?
I'm ready for it.
Cool.
Girl, don't look at that to me, come see me. Cause it's me, you, me, you. All night, have it your way.
Here we are at breakfast and Stacy is enjoying her parfait. Stacy set up the Facebook group so that people could meet each other online before the cruise, and there were over 100 people in that Facebook group. So one of the other things we did was organize a meet and greet, and that's what's coming up next, is our meet and greet. And we've been having a nice meeting here with some of these people. People we met on Facebook. We only had a small turnout for our Facebook event, but it was nice. We had some really nice conversations. Up next is our Latitudes party. The Latitudes program is basically the frequent cruisers program. So the more latitude points you get, the more perks you get in the long run. So I'm platinum status right now. Stacy's gold status. And at the end of this cruise, she will be up to platinum status. So here's our Latitudes party. Hello.
Hello. Good afternoon. How are you?
Hello. Hi. Hello. 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 Gotta get your hat. Yes. Cheers. I have a Manhattan. She has a Coors Light. This is the view of the ship's wake as we continue northward. This is the nighttime scene on the Norwegian Sun. And this is the start of day 3 of our cruise from Seattle to Alaska. As it is, it's 7 o'clock in the morning where I'm standing, and we are still about 11 hours away from arriving in Juneau, the capital of Alaska. It's a cloudy morning out here in the Pacific Ocean. We're somewhere off the coast of Canada. The arrow on the left shows where we are now, off the coast of Canada.
Enjoying the beautiful view.
Definitely a beautiful view. You've already seen some whales and some other things that I think might have been dolphins, but I'm not sure.
Has the best house.
These are the people whose flights to Seattle got messed up or canceled, so they didn't make it in. So they flew to Juneau to get on the ship. People getting off the ship now. We'll be joining them shortly. And we're off the ship, walking in Juneau now. We actually got here a little bit late. It's about 7 o'clock in the evening now. We have to be back on the ship by 11:30 p.m. So we're just going to walk around.
That's where I was taking.
Oh, okay. Are you going to get a beer today?
I don't know.
Alright, we're done sightseeing, so now we are going down. Glass elevator going through the atrium. And then step out, and there is the Four Seasons restaurant where we're having dinner tonight. This is where we're having dinner, with a view of Juneau outside of our window. This is one of the reasons why we like cruising so much, because it's a floating resort, so you get a different view every day. This is my chicken rotisserie. And that's Stacy's fish something. Neither one of us knows how to pronounce it. There's Juneau after dark. It's about 11:40 right now, and the ship will be pulling away about midnight. Here we are starting our day in Haines, Alaska. We are taking a walk-in tour to downtown Haines. It's about a 10 to 15 minute walk. We're heading over to the fast ferry now that's going to take us to Skagway. Enjoyed the
boat ride?
I'm enjoying the boat ride.
Cool.
Glad we decided to choose to do it.
Yeah. It's not a whole lot in Haines, but we're looking forward to Skagway. Coming into Skagway.
I've been offered some for retail. And the guy's like, no, it's really hard out here. I was like, yeah, sure. So back in lower. This
Lots of tourists here today. This is what happens when you got 5 ships in town. This was the site of a rock slide in Skagway. Here's our ferry boat back to Haines. And away we go, back to Haines. Welcome back to the ship now. This is how we have lunch outside on the back deck of the ship on a nice day. One last look at Haines as we're turning around to sail away.
No matter what you do, play what you wanna do.
Say goodnight, Stacy.
Good night, Stacy.
We're sailing into Hubbard Glacier today, so that's going to be the big excitement for today. So I'm out on the upper deck right now. It is chilly out here, and they are serving hot chocolate. So here's the hot chocolate with Paul. That's hot. It's good. So off in the distance there, if you can make it out, we are getting closer and closer to the large mountain range where we're going to sail into the Hubbard Glacier.
That's a big glacier.
Iceberg, get ahead. So here's the scene up on the upper deck as everybody's piling up here. We're getting closer and closer to the glacier. Amazing views. And here's the view from our cabin now. It's actually very, very good. So we're getting narration here on the TV.
Mountain in the North American continent. The glacier, Hubbard Glacier, was named in 1890 for Gardner Hubbard, who was the first president of the National Geographic Society. The Hubbard Glacier's terminus is currently in a stable position after passing over the last 100 years.
I just recognize that there are other ships over there and they look so tiny underneath that glacier. It's huge. So this is our view right now. They are in the process of letting the port side of the ship get the view first, and then they're going to turn the ship around, and those of us on the starboard side are going to get our view. And we're slowly turning around so we can get this view. And this is our view as they show this to the starboard side of the ship. And this is the Holland America Euro Dam docked next to us. We are in beautiful Sitka, Alaska. Absolutely gorgeous here. It's low-hanging fog sitting on the mountain. And now here's the view from the front of the ship. Holland America ship next to us. We're off the ship now, heading towards the port where we're gonna find some kind of transportation into town. It's a free shuttle to downtown, which is about 5 miles away.
And their location. Fun fact for you guys. And also, Sitka is actually the largest city in the U.S. per area. You gotta throw in that last part. So it's the largest city in the U.S. per area. Per population, I believe it's the 4th largest per population.
There's no question these video pictures don't do the justice for how beautiful it really looks here. So we're going to take this free walking tour through Sitka.
Just very, very, very wet. And so you guys are lucky to be here on a day that we're not using rain jackets and things like that. Now, oh, look at this bald eagle flying over us right now. This is perfect. Right on cue. Some crab if you're hungry for lunch. This food truck is really, really great. It's they have like crab rolls and things like that. Up here at the top, this is Cold Water. It is a great restaurant that has a lot of seafood and American food. Some crab and salmon, things like that. I like halibut, fish and chips. Look in front of you guys. We're coming up to St. Michael's Orthodox Cathedral, which was built in 1844, and you can see it has the traditional Russian onion dome style of architecture. Grizzly bear in the world. They get way bigger than this little tiny stuffed one right here. They get up to the same size as the ceiling, 12 feet tall. And they are very dangerous. Oh, thank you very much. The grizzly bears here interbred with polar bears. They have polar bear DNA from likely during the Ice Age in this area. We don't have any black bears on the island. They likely couldn't swim this far out. In my hives are the closest right there. This is called Sitka rose. It's a type of rose hip. What is it? A totem pole called a ridicule pole. A ridicule pole would be carved by the Tlingit if there had been something majorly done wrong in society by somebody. And this one talks about the Russians. The Russians were not kind to the indigenous people of Alaska. You can see the bottom figure is a bear, and the top figure is Alexander Baranov, who was the first Russian governor of Alaska, who sailed in on a giant warship, the Neva, and conquered Sitka from the Tlingits in the Battle of 1804.
Good job. It's an easier way to get down now. We didn't know about the ramp before.
I guess I need to move over here so I can.
Yeah, it's about
Back to the two ships that are docked here. Waving to people over on the Holland America ship. Today we are in Icy Strait Point. This is the area just off the ship. At the moment we are waiting for our time to go and do a whale watch. But this shows the area. There's a couple sky glider things to take us to areas to one side and to the other side so we can see what else is in Icy Strait Point. We plan on doing that after the whale watch. Here's a mural that kids of the community came in and painted in 2019.
Of 360 quarter pounders from McDonald's.
Time to take the transporter over to the spot where they have shops and all that good stuff.
or more moving ahead.
This shows the sliming process at a fish cannery.
Which way you want to go? We are a bit that way.
Yeah.
This morning we are sailing into Ketchikan, Alaska. As we pull into the dock, we're going to be docked next to the Norwegian Encore. Lots of activity on the dock here as they get ready to spend the day in port. And sadly, there's an ambulance here. Looks like somebody's trip has come to an end. That's always sad when that happens. We are getting in line now for the Lumberjack show. And by the way, there's the Holland America Westerdam. And we are ready to see the Lumberjack show.
How about yours? Pretty good. I was a little nervous, but I know what's good.
They did not allow us to take any video at the Alaska Lumberjack show, but they did allow us to take still photos. So here are some photos from the Alaska Lumberjack show. As I'm standing in Ketchikan, the main touristy part of the town is right behind me. There's some ships to the right side of me and some more shops to the left side of me. That's the Celebrity Eclipse, and this is the Queen Elizabeth.
Very cold out and Paul's sitting there in a freaking hot tub. Crazy!
Sitting on the back deck for lunch on day 9. I finally get around to having a cheeseburger. Off in the distance we can see the Queen Elizabeth. Nine o'clock in the evening and we are back in the fog again.
Was a graveyard smash. It caught on in a flash. He did the monster mash from my laboratory in the castle east.
So it's late at night. The fog is thicker than pea soup here. Today we are in Victoria, British Columbia, Canada. Yesterday we had a lot of fog. This morning there's no fog right where we are, but you can see fog in the distance over the water just before those mountains. And here we are taking a tour. It's a different kind of tour, isn't it?
Not quite what they see. But these are not our most exciting birds because they are low-key, somewhat slightly aggressive. They're up. You can tell the spikes are outward facing, just over there.
Hello. How are you?
If they've mated or not, often by once they lose their feathers. Once they've mated.
Water.
And another wonderful lunch on the back of the ship. Definitely the best place to eat when it's nice out. And that is our last day on the Norwegian Sun. Tomorrow morning we'll be getting off, and we have one more day in Seattle before we fly home. Well, we're back at the Belltown Hotel, so I'm about to take a bike out. and do some bike riding through Seattle. Riding my bike in Seattle. Here we go. I got my bike returned and I'm out with Stacy now, and we are walking to the waterfront. And the ship is pulling away from the dock now. And this is the roof of our hotel as it's getting darker out. And we're off. There's Mount Rainier. Alright, we're in Detroit now, on our way home. Did you enjoy your flight?
I enjoyed it.
Yeah. It was a little cramped though, wasn't it?
It was a little cramped.
Yeah. And here's a look at our flight from Detroit to Rochester. And that's the story of our 2 trips to Alaska in 2022 and 2023. I gotta tell you, I love Alaska. I love the Alaska Railroad, and I would love to go back again. I'm Paul Packish, and this has been Hot Chocolate with Paul. Have a good day.